In the history of the NBA, no prospect has ever carried the weight of a franchise and a league like Victor Wembanyama. He's the alien, a 7'4" anomaly who moves like a point guard and defends like a demigod. But as we sit here in April 2026, the atmosphere in San Antonio has shifted. It's no longer about the highlights or the Defensive Player of the Year trophies. It's about the silence. Throughout the 2025-26 season, the San Antonio Spurs have treated their crown jewel like a fragile glass sculpture. To the public, it's called load management. To the skeptics, it's a strategic long game. But behind closed doors, a darker theory is brewing. Is Victor Wembanyama actually burnt out? Or worse, is there a structural, career-threatening injury that the Spurs medical staff is desperately hiding from the public eye? Today, we peel back the curtain on the Wemby conspiracy. On paper, Wembanyama's third season looks like a masterpiece. He's effectively broken the NBA's defensive tracking systems, but look closer at the schedule. The Spurs have sat Victor in 18 games this season, not for sprained ankles, not for flu-like symptoms, simply for rest. Now, compare this to other stars of his stature. Nikola Jokic plays through everything. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's a tank. So why is a 22-year-old in the physical prime of his life being bubble-wrapped? The conspiracy theorists point to January 14th, 2026, a seemingly routine landing against the Grizzlies. Victor limped for 3 steps, adjusted his sneaker, and finished the game with 30 points. He didn't play again for 2 weeks. The team cited lower back tightness, but local reporters noted Victor was wearing a specialized compression brace that he had never used before. Let's talk about burnout. Usually, this term refers to mental fatigue, but in the context of a 7'4" frame, it's physiological. Physics is Victor's greatest enemy. The stress on his navicular bones and his lower vertebrae is exponential compared to a 6'6" player. Inside sources close to the Spurs training facility in North San Antonio have whispered about diminished explosive capacity. They claim that by mid-February, Victor's vertical leap had dropped by 3 inches. In the NBA, a 3-inch loss in lift is the difference between a block and a foul. Is the alien simply running out of fuel? Or is the human body not meant to support this kind of movement at that height? The Spurs have the most secretive medical staff in all of professional sports. Since the Kawhi Leonard saga of 2018, the organization has clamped down on information like a Fort Knox vault. This season, the injury report has become a meme. Take the concussion protocol incident of April 2026, Game 2 against Portland. Victor takes a hard fall. He looks fine. He passes the initial tests. Yet, the Spurs sideline him for the most pivotal games of the first round. If you're a Spurs fan, you're relieved they're being smart. If you're an analyst, you're suspicious. You don't bench a generational talent in the playoffs for a headache unless that headache is actually a cover for a structural injury, like a stress fracture in the foot that they're terrified will snap if he plays 40 minutes of playoff basketball. Let's look at the science. We've seen this movie before. Ralph Sampson, Arvydas Sabonis, Yao Ming, Bill Walton. History is littered with the broken bones of giants. The common denominator, the overload threshold. When a player of Victor's height plays more than 30 minutes a night, the micro-trauma to the bone density in the feet becomes critical. The Spurs know this. Their use of load management isn't a strategy for this year. It's a desperate attempt to prevent a catastrophic career-ending injury that may already be in its early stages. If Victor has a grade 1 stress reaction in his foot, the public will never know. Why? Because the moment that news hits the wire, the Spurs stock drops, season tickets plummet, and the Wemby era is branded as a tragic before it even truly begins. With Greg Popovich moving into more of a senior advisory role and Mitch Johnson taking the reins, the philosophy has shifted. Popovich was always a fan of resting players, but this is different. This feels like emergency management. Look at the post-game press conferences. Every time a reporter asks about Victor's health, Johnson's body language changes. Defensive, brief, dismissive.
He's fine, we're being smart, but being smart doesn't usually involve hiding your best player during the most profitable weeks of the NBA calendar. Now, let's play devil's advocate. Is it possible there is no conspiracy? Is it possible the Spurs are just the smartest guys in the room? On April 26, 2026, Victor returned for Game 4. He didn't just play, he dominated. 27 points, 7 blocks. He looked like the alien again. This is the Spurs defense. They argue that by resting him 18 times in the regular season, they've saved his joints for April, May, and June. If he was truly injured, he wouldn't be able to turn it on like a faucet. But the conspiracy doesn't say he's currently crippled. It says he is failing. It says his body is giving him warning signs that the Spurs are desperately trying to hush. You don't manage a 22-year-old like he's 38-year-old LeBron James unless you know something the rest of us don't. Follow the money. Victor Wembanyama is worth billions literally to the city of San Antonio, to Nike, to the NBA's international TV deals in Europe. If the public believed Victor had the big man's curse, foot issues, his marketability would take a massive hit. By labeling every absence as rest or protocol, the Spurs maintain the illusion of invincibility. It keeps the alien brand intact. It's the ultimate corporate cover-up. Protect the asset, control the narrative, and hope to God the bone holds together long enough to hoist a championship trophy. So what are the Spurs hiding? They're hiding the fact that Victor Wembanyama is human. They're hiding the reality that a 7'4" frame, no matter how much yoga it does or how many specialized sneakers it wears, is under constant siege by gravity. Whether it's burnout or a secret medical file labeled fragile, the truth is written in the minutes played. In 2026, Victor is playing the fewest minutes per game of any MVP candidate in history. That isn't a coincidence. That is a rescue mission. The Spurs are betting that they can keep the secret until Victor develops the secondary muscle mass to protect his frame. They're betting that we, the fans, will accept rest as an answer. But as the 2026 playoffs continue and the pressure mounts, the truth will eventually force its way out. You can hide a medical report, but you can't hide the way a man walks. Is it load management, or is it the beginning of the end? The Wemby conspiracy isn't about what has happened, it's about what the Spurs are terrified will happen next. Only time and the X-rays we'll never see will tell the real story.
In the history of the NBA, no prospect has ever carried the weight of a franchise and a league like Victor Wembanyama. He's the alien, a